Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to Reporters, France 24's insight on the stories that matter all around the world. In this edition, how migrant workers are being worked, sometimes to death, in the Gulf states. Qatar, in particular, comes in for stern criticism in our report. Our team has met families from Nepal whose loved ones had been killed at work in the super-rich emirate. They were part of a wave of migrant workers making major projects happen in Qatar, such as the construction of stadiums for the World Cup of 2022. But away from those sites, we found cases of withheld wages and passports, people being treated like slaves. Qatar's begun to respond to criticism over its treatment of migrant workers, but too late for the people that you are about to meet. Our reporting team then, Constantin Simon, Boraj Bat and Sébastien Bouillet.
At Kathmandu Airport, the daily carousel of life. Hundreds of Nepali workers leave to seek their fortunes in the countries of the Gulf. In arrivals, expectant relatives await the return of those who are coming back. For some, grief is but an instant away. The coffins on the carts are easy to spot. They are the color of blood. In the last few hours, we have seen 4 of them. Last year, over 500 Nepalis returned from the Gulf dead.
Generally, people come back from there with a lot of money. But we just received a dead body.
Put him in the car.
Raju lived in Qatar with his younger brother, who died on January 14th. Raju once saw Qatar as an El Dorado, but not anymore.
Qatar is an awful country. That's my opinion. I will never go back. I've understood what it was. I lost my brother, and I want to tell all my Nepali brothers and sisters, please don't ever go there.
This report is an attempt to understand how so many healthy young Nepali workers have lost their lives in Qatar. We travel through the night in a hearse to reach Gulmi, a remote region in the depths of the Himalaya mountains. The villagers are waiting near a sacred river, where the body will be cremated in accordance with Hindu tradition. The father of the deceased is having his head shaved to show his grief. He sent his sons to Qatar to help cover his mounting debts.
I am a poor man, the son of a poor man. To repay my creditors, a member of my family in Kathmandu made a suggestion. He said, "There is work in Qatar. Why don't you send your older son Raju there?" So I arranged for some money for his travel by selling a few things. Then the same person came and told me, "Why don't you send your other son Vijay to Qatar too?"
Vijay was just 20 years old. He worked as a labourer building the new Qatar when suddenly one day, without reason, his salary was reduced. He found himself in conflict with his employer, who refused to return his passport. Vijay had hoped to retrieve his documents quickly, but fate intervened with tragic consequences. A few days later, he died in a car crash. Despite the deaths, the men from his village keep returning to Qatar. Although Raju had sworn never to return, his father has decided that he must.
My son will return to work. He has to. Why? He doesn't have any problems there. Things always work out well for him. He has to go back there.
These people are at the bottom of the economic ladder in one of the poorest countries of the world. They need the money sent by their immigrant sons.
At least one person from each house is in the Gulf.
Nobody is happy to go, but they have to because they have to send money to the families who are in a lot of financial difficulty.
We Nepalis are too naive, but we've seen too many young people die. We want to know more, to understand how they died. Was it a natural death, an accident, a murder? We want to know the truth.
Nepali authorities can no longer ignore the problem. Hundreds are dying each year, and extraordinarily, over half of them are said to have suffered heart attacks.
Your father's arteries are not in a good shape.
All employment contracts signed by the Nepali workers state that the company will not provide financial compensation in the event of cardiac arrest. This cardiologist believes that cardiac arrest is a convenient term.
They have to undergo a pre-employment checkup. In it. Majority of cases who go abroad, they are quite young, they are energetic, they can work well. If they die of some causes, for example, trauma, depression, some dehydration, they have to pay compensation. So it is reported as a heart attack because they don't have to pay the compensation. But it is not heart attack.
At Kathmandu airport, over 2,000 people depart for the Gulf every day. These men are all from the same village and they know the reality of Qatar. For the first time in 2 years, they were given leave to spend time with their wives and children. But now they have to return to work, and this time the goodbyes are even harder.
Honestly, I don't really want to go back.
Okay, let's take a picture.
Despite their reluctance, they have little choice. In Qatar, they will earn 200 euros per month, 10 times the average salary in Nepal. We decide to travel with them to investigate the living conditions of thousands of workers drawn to Qatar.
For a villager like me, going to Qatar was the dream. Now, in the village, people respect me. If I earn enough money, I'll build a small house for myself. I'll be able to marry and lead a comfortable life.
We have to be very careful. Many foreign journalists reporting on the plight of laborers in Qatar have been arrested and jailed. Since winning the prestigious and lucrative contract to host the FIFA World Cup, Qatar is desperate to avoid bad publicity. New stadiums, hundreds of hotels, and underground metro. The country is buzzing with construction. None of this infrastructure could have been built without foreign workers, who now make up 80% of Qatar's population, a very big but servile majority. After we land, we follow Vinod. His accommodation has been chosen by his employer, one of the rare places not under surveillance.
Hello, buddy. How are you?
Vinod and his housemates are willing to talk to us about their living conditions. 20 workers share a tiny two-bedroom apartment which is dirty and infested by insects.
The ceiling is about to collapse. We had to put tape on it. Listen to the racket the fan makes.
In summer, it's even worse. This is the #1 cause for death amongst the workers. They come back exhausted from work, and sometimes in the morning they don't wake up.
Here, we're at the bottom of the social pyramid. We're third-class citizens.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a slave. I had never imagined this would happen. I always thought this was an incredible, modern country, and I had so many dreams.
These men have to work in temperatures exceeding 50 degrees Celsius. Fatigue, dehydration and hypothermia combined with strenuous physical labor make an explosive cocktail. These modern-day slaves endure conditions that many would describe as inhuman. The World Cup site is heavily guarded. To talk to the workers, we have to wait for the precise moment when they rotate their shifts.
It's very hard. Every part of our body hurts. We have to carry very heavy things from morning to night. After working for 12 hours, they often ask us to work 2 hours more.
Under intense international criticism and mounting pressure from FIFA, Qatar realizes it has a public relations nightmare on its hands. In November 2013, a press conference was convened at the site where the main stadium for the World Cup is being built. For the first time, the Qatari Council addressed the issue of workers' living conditions.
We've created a foundation to provide appropriate conditions for those who are building our stadiums. From now on, there will be a standard contract for workers. It's a big initiative of the Qatari government, which is very involved. All the companies that work on the Wakra Stadium and other stadiums will have to follow the new rules.
The measures include salary guarantees, hygienic living conditions, and limiting the number of beds per room. The rules are a step in the right direction, but they haven't been widely implemented. And Qatar has failed to address kafala, a law that gives employers complete authority over their foreign employees. At the start of a contract, employers take away foreign workers' passport. In case of problems, they can prevent them leaving the country or switching jobs. Exactly the position facing employees of this international hotel at the center of Doha. Behind the gilded splendor, the men lead caged lives. We gave them a small camera. At night, in their room, far from their managers, they plead for help. They choose to disclose their identities.
I was supposed to be a security guard, but when I got there I was told I would be a dishwasher. I have still not been paid. Even if I want to return to Nepal, I can't, because the company has my passport. They keep telling me that I can leave, but they refuse to give me my passport back.
I feel like I am in jail. If we complain, the manager yells at us. Some of my friends have even been beaten.
Appalling work conditions, late payments, no personal freedoms, maltreatment, all the essentials of modern-day slavery. But Qatar is not alone in profiting from the plight of these men. In Kathmandu, recruitment agencies have multiplied. Many do not hesitate to make tall promises to convince innocent workers and earn large commissions. The Nepali police are trying to curb these networks. This morning, the police have arrested a man accused of making a false contract for a man working at the luxury hotel in Doha. He is interrogated by the officer in charge of fraud.
Do you have a license to send workers abroad?
No, I was just an intermediary. The worker was from my village. I just wanted to help him.
Do you realize that because of you, people have died?
Yes, I'm sorry, sometimes it happens, but this is not my main job.
With the help of the Nepali embassy in Doha, we are trying to stop the fraudulent companies and to cancel their work permits and licenses. But it is true that we rarely succeed.
How often have you succeeded?
I can't say precisely. Maybe 3 or 4 times. I've just been here for 4 months.
At the Office of Foreign Workers, the flow of men hoping to leave for Qatar is endless. Hundreds have queued since 4 in the morning.
Look, he's jumping the queue.
Calm down, calm down.
Today, over 2.5 million Nepalis work in the Middle East. Thousands more are waiting to depart. The government does not have the means to stop this human migration, and perhaps it doesn't have the will either. After all, migrant workers are responsible for a quarter of the country's foreign income.
Our reporter Constantin Simon is here in the studio. Constantin, thank you for your extremely interesting report. I'm left thinking, though, does Qatar get away with this kind of thing just because people there are super rich?
It is true that it's striking the wealth and the gaps. In Qatar, we see the life condition of the Qataris and the workers. When you see the skyscrapers, when you see the rooms where the migrant workers are living, it's striking. So is Qatar getting away with it? Yes, there are some criticism, international criticism. It's in the media. The chairman of FIFA, the Football Association, said maybe it's a mistake to have chosen Qatar, but we can't see how this organization of the World Cup could be taken away from Qatar, who has lots of investments in the world of football, as you know.
So what do the Qatari authorities say in their defense?
Well, the government of Qatar first denied the amount of people worked to death, quoted by The Guardian and Amnesty International. At the same time, Qatar had to recognize that there were indeed people who died at work. I mean, they couldn't say there were no dead, and they had to improve things, so they announced a series of reforms aiming at implementing a system of wages for the employees through the bank accounts, a system of checking the wages to see if the Qatari employer is indeed paying each and every employee, and that each and every worker is getting his due, and an improvement of the health conditions with a certain amount of limited employees per room. All this is important, but the main issue is that the Qatar will not touch the kafala, which is the godfather kind of labor in Qatar, giving all power to the company-facing employees.
And clearly this is very embarrassing to the people who run Qatar, to the royal family there, and to the very rich people. I imagine your conditions for making this film might have been unorthodox, if not dangerous.
Yes, indeed. It started in Nepal, where we had no issues to interview the victims. However, we had to take the flight of the official Qatari company, and we suddenly were transformed into tourists. We took a very small camera, in fact, a digital camera. Today, you have that kind of things that do very good pictures, and we had to protect the Nepalese who were going with us. Be careful not to be spotted by the police, and many policemen in Qatar. You don't see them always, you don't recognize them always. And there are a lot of journalists who reported on the workers had to be expelled from the country, so we were very cautious.
Constantin, thank you very much indeed for your extra insight. And if you would like to see this report again, as I'm sure you will, you can via France24.com. Our thanks to Constantin and his team. Thank you for watching. You're watching Reporters. Stay with us here on France 24.